Hey, good afternoon or good morning. My name is Kevin Porman, and here on codeAbout today, we're going to be working with Drone. It's a CI and CD tool, and we're going to be implementing Drone as a CI tool for our MERN-Stack example. Now, if you're not familiar with Drone, Drone is a product from Harness. It's actually one of the world's leading CI solutions. It's you may never have heard of it, but it's got a lot of features that it really made it really it sort of invented. So we think about things like GitHub Actions or GitLab, and they all have you. The first thing you do is specify which Docker container you're going to use. And as far as I'm aware, Drone invented that. I mean, I remember when I first discovered Drone about probably 5 or 6, maybe even 7 years ago. Um, it was really quite new to have this idea that I would be able to specify a Docker container and it would have all my dependencies and everything in it, and it would just be off to the races. And I loved it. And I've been a drone user since its UI was just like a little box on the screen, and you just had to type in like a shell script. So today we're going to have some fun with drone, and we're going to be working with our MERN-Stack example. Now, if you've tuned in before, you'll be aware that our MERN-Stack example is just a really simple application written with Mongo, Express, React, and Node. And those four technologies combine together to form the MERN stack. And today we're going to be using that to do some CI stuff. So what do we want to do with our CI work? And I'm going to cough here in just a second. Forgive me. Now, one more thing. This is a pre-recorded version, and you know it's pre-recorded because we got Captain Canary there giving us, the good old eyebrow shake. Anyway, Captain Canary is your sign that we don't have chat running right now, and I apologize for that. I am in the process of moving across the country, and so this episode was pre-recorded, and we're going to put it up at our normal time so everybody can join in and see it, but there won't be chat today. So with that said, let's dive into that. Drone has a wonderful bit of documentation. If I could look over here, oh, that's my MERN-Stack example. If I look at here at the documentation for Drone, you can find all this sort of information about it. We can look at how we want to do something with Kubernetes or on AWS, etc. But we're going to be looking on your basic Docker pipeline today, and we're going to be doing that with looking at these two documentation pieces, the overview and the configuration. When we start talking about configuring Drone is configured with YAML. YAML is taking over the world, and I think Drone is one of the people that started it way back probably 8 years ago. And we have this YAML here. It's going to have a kind. This little tag kind is going to say, what is this? And we're going to do a pipeline today. And a pipeline is a sequence of steps that we want run in response to a code change. Okay, so your basic CI work is, hey, the code changed and I want to go run my unit tests and perform a build and take my build and maybe put it in an artifact store. So maybe if you've got like a Java app, you might run your JUnit tests, and then you might build a jar file, and then you might throw that jar file on JFrog as an example. Now, each of these pipelines has different steps, and those steps are these little pieces here. And we're going to have, you notice here that we've got each step has a different image. That's the Docker image we're going to be using. And we also have the front, so this is our backend one, and in this case, our example is that the backend is built in Golang. So we have the image for Golang, and then we've got the front end, which is built in Node, and we're going to have it run on the Node image. And then we have these commands, and these commands are exactly what they sound like. They're commands that the drone is going to run and execute on your behalf as part of your test and build. So with that said, let's just dive in here and start playing around with this a little bit. I'm going to copy pasta this into Visual Studio Code just because I don't want to keep flipping back and forth. So let's go back over here. I'm going to create just a page there, but I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to drag this over here. And we're gonna do our own. So we have the opening YAML triple dash. We'll do kind pipeline type Docker, and we'll do name default. Why do we want name default? This is our default pipeline. We want to run this by default. You can have different names in here. So if you wanted to, you could do something like post post merge or on a merge request. That sort of, you can give it different names. And for our steps here, what we're going to do is we're going to say name is test MERN-Stack app. I'm naming things is hard. Let's try that again. Execute backend unit tests. That seems legit. Image node 16. That's because I didn't indent that. Okay, there we go. And commands. So the first thing we want to do when we figure out our commands that we're going to run, I'm going to come down here to our terminal that's built into Visual Studio Code, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a couple of commands. So I'm going to go into the server directory, and let's just make this a little bigger. So we've got this going on, and we've got all our files in here, and we've got a jest file right here, and we've got some where are our tests? Where did our tests go? MERN-Stack-Example. What is he? Did I put them in? No. Sure. Okay. Yarn test. Let's just see what happens there. It's gonna run it, so it's definitely running here. Okay. Oh, it's under routes. Yeah. I forgot where that was. All right, so we're going to use Yarn. If you're not familiar with Yarn, it's very similar to NPM. You could use NPM as well. It's just this application is written using Yarn. Why muscle memory? That's what I've been doing for a while, and that's what I typed in when I created it. There's no big difference anymore between Yarn and NPM, but what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be using Yarn to run those tests. And again, that's just Yarn test, just like that. Now, unfortunately, we can't just do that because we also have to have everything set up. So let's do a little bit of setup for our test. Now, when I was first doing CI work, I thought, oh, I'll just have a setup step. Doesn't quite work that way because these are all Docker image based. If you switch steps, you switch images. And so that means that all the setup work you did, bye-bye. So let's do some setup work here. We're going to do cd server, and then we're going to do yarn install, and then we'll do yarn test. And let's leave it there for right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into my .drone.yaml file. And yes, I want to use dot. And there we go. So we've got this here. Now, if I just go into my directory, it's a hidden file because it starts with a dot. And so here is our drone YAML, and it was created. And so we're going to go here, and we're going to, if we just type drone, yeah, doesn't do anything, right? We need to be able to find a way to put it in here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to run this drone with the command line utility. So if we type hit drone, you get the command line utility there. What we're going to do is we're going to tell it that we want to, I'm so used to triggering this with a pull request, I got to remember how to run this from the command line. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this with our local, I think we're going to run build. So let's do drone build, and we'll do .drone YAML. No help topic. Drone build. Found drone.yaml. Missing repository. Okay, so that's saying we need, missing repository. It means we're missing something. So let's look at our documentation here. Configuration. We're going to look at our Docker pipelines, and let's see, where are we putting in our different, oh, because it's coming in from the, Yeah, so normally when you fire a drone off, it's going to come from like a webhook. Sorry, I haven't had enough coffee today. So you fire your oh hey, something changed. Webhook fires off, drone kicks off in response to that, and that's sort of the normal way to do it. But we have to provide the information for that. So what we're going to do is harness apps, and we'll do MERN-Stack. What is this? MERN-Stack-Example. We'll just copy pasta this so I don't misspell anything with my lack of coffee. Well, okay. That copy pasted weird. Invalid or missing repository. All right. And I have a coworker at my. All right, so how do we get this to run here? We've got the saying that we've got an invalid or missing repository. Now I was thinking that we put it in the drone YAML file. So let's look at our documentation again, because I've been doing harness CI for a bit, and I seem to have forgotten my drone stuff. So let's look here and go examples, and let's look at a example for node. That's what we're doing here. Okay, here we go. Test node, image commands, npm install, npm test. So this looks like it's pretty exactly what we want, but I'm not seeing multiple. No, we're not going to do multiple architectures. And so, do I pass? Is it a command line variable? Yeah, it's probably a command line variable. So let's look here, and I've got a different example I'm playing with. Let's see what if I type in drone. What I had that one drone. Open here, and I had this one, and yeah, we got to do repo. There we go. Okay, that's what I was forgetting. So let's try that. And we're gonna do repo, and we'll do. Is that what it was? Equals. Let's get this right. Yeah, equal repo http tp equals http://github.com/harnessapps MERN-Stack-Example. I think that should work. Invalid repository. It is not. It is not. I probably have these in the wrong order. Let's look at my example here again. Oh, look at that. So yeah, so the repo has to be first. Let's see. Let's make this easier to see and read. Just drag this back over here. Now in our example over here, this is foreshadowing what we're going to talk about next week. And I'm just going to make this easier to read so I can crib from my own notes. And I may have to provide a commit. This is all stuff you're going to get in the webhook. So when you're running this locally, the syntax can be a little wonky. So let's do this. I'm going to do my build with the repository, and then I'm going to run that with repo branch equals main, and I'm going to do commit target equals main, and then I'll do drone.yaml. Front row, flag provided but not defined. Oh, that's because it's from the exec one. Okay, here, let's do this. I've been playing around with the drone exec. Let's see here. Drone build. last info, show build details, create a build, drone build. Well, fine. Here, we'll use the drone runner exec. I'm gonna go through here, and I don't want to do this repository or commit. I want to do my repository. So let's switch over to doing it that way. We'll switch to using the exec. Now the exec runner lets you run it as if you didn't have your own drone server, and that's if I'd have thought about that, if I'd had more coffee, I would have recognized that that's probably how we wanted to do this today, because I don't have a drone server setting up anywhere. I could run one in Docker, but running a drone server in Docker only to fire up a Docker container seems a bit meta, turtles all the way down. So instead of doing that, we're going to do github.com/, we'll paste that there, make a mess of this, and there we go. Resource not found. What? Oh, it's because I didn't put an exec in there. No, I did. Drone runner exec. Repo branch main. I have to give it a directory, so we're going to do well, this is a little embarrassing, actually. What's going on here, Kevin? I'm going to create that directory. /temp resource not found. Try help. Drone runner exec help. Drone exec runner. This is what I want. And I'm going to run it in exec mode. Flags root source. Oh. Flags root source. Do I have this here? I've got a commit and a drone YAML, so I've got a temp file, because this one works. So if I were to run that, if I were to run this, it works just fine. I know that. So let's think about this. What am I doing wrong here? I've got a drone YAML file. Check. I've got a drone runner exec, and I'm running that with my pipeline. So drone runner exec flags. We've got my repo statement in here. And then I've got my root and source. I think the source is my drone YAML file, and my root. Let's do this. Yeah, what resource is not found? So developers out there, do the world a favor and put in meaningful error messages. It's not that resource not found is not helpful, but telling me what resource is not found would be really helpful. And so one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take this back to the drone guys and be like, listen, resource not found, good. What resource not found? Way better. And we'll see how they take that. So we've got, let's just try this. Drone runner exec drone.yaml. Resource not found. Okay, we'll do help. Okay. This is, we've got, oh, we can pretty print the output. That's cool. here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this a little smaller. And I'm going to create a new folder here in our new file here. And I'm going to do drone runner exec pretty. We're just going to go through this here one by one. Dash repo dash http equals github.com/harness apps MERN-Stack-Example. I think that's what it is, right? Double check that. MERN-Stack-Example. Yep. And then we've got, I don't think we need namespace or the slug or anything like that. And then we don't need the build number or the commit. Commit target. You don't need the commit ref, I don't think. Yeah, we should be good with all that stuff. And then, so as you're diving into this, I hope you see how configurable this is. You can do all sorts of things. Now, if you think about it from the context of the way drone is normally executed with a commit hook, or excuse me, a webhook firing that off, that webhook is going to give you the repo, the commit hash, all that information that we don't necessarily need here because we're running this on main, but you get the idea of how that information gets transferred over. And we've got stage, system, and then we've got a root build directory and the source file location. So those are our args. And so let's do, if we look at what we were doing before, we were doing commit target main, repo branch main. So we can do those. Repo branch equals main. We'll do commit target equals main, and then here we need the root build directory. So we're going to do .temp, and we're going to do the source location details, hopefully, and then we'll do .drone.yaml. Maybe that's what we're missing. We're missing a dot. So I'm going to close that out. And no whammies. Unexpected drone.yaml. Okay, well, we'll get rid of it. Drone runner exec read dot is a directory. Yes. Aren't you supposed to? Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't expect this to be the hard part. And again, code live, or excuse me, codeabout, our rules are, this is unscripted. We're not gonna, I don't sit up and practice at night trying to get all this perfect and everything. We're doing this as if we are just learning drone. I have some experience with drone, but like I said, I've been playing around with harness CI with the UI a lot more lately. So I'm trying to remember how we have all of this working, and I'm used to doing it through the CI infrastructure where I get my webhook. So there's a lot going on here. We're doing a slightly different take on normal drone usage here, and we're gonna get it working. Yeah, we'll get it working. And let's do this instead of that. Instead of this dot, we're gonna do server. So we're in the server folder. Open server. No such file or directory. In our drone, we did not tell it not to check it out. It's not finding the server as a directory. Resource not found. Dot is a directory. Yes, I know, but the help doesn't actually tell you anything there. So we can do help, and you see, yeah, it's not giving me any do phenomena. Well, let's try. I've got this one command that I've got working. Where did it go? Here, we'll do it this way. This is the one we built. This was my notes file. Here we go. So we'll do that. We'll put it all back over here. And we'll get rid of, clean up my command here. And make this all one line. And let's try this. Oh, that's not gonna work. There we go. Now we're getting the same thing. MERN-Stack. There we go. Drone runner exec. Drone runner exec resource not found. Did I move the file? No, drone.yaml. Let's try this. Is that the file? Is that the... No, see, that worked just fine. Okay, so this is working. Is there an issue with our pipeline file? This resource not found. Let's see. So if we look at our differences here, we're doing pipeline exec default. Oh, that may be. There we go. So this is local drone. Okay, and we'll try this. Oh, wait, there we go. I gotta do the right file. There we go, now it's running. Okay, so our issue was I had a malformed YAML file, which is why, if you think about it, YAMLs taking over the world might be an interesting proposition. Okay, here we go. So we're running our pipeline. Now we're into, you see that in the logs here, we get the clone information. So what is it doing? It's cloning our repository. And we get down here, execute backend test unit tests. We're going to cd server, and then we're going to, it says no server found. And this is showing us in this drone temporary file. And let's see, why would we not have a server file there? Because it's the wrong repo. So this is the repo we specified. So let's clean this up. Let's check out our command line we were going to try up here, and try that again. And we're going to do /temp, and we'll do .drone YAML. There we go. Still nothing. Okay, so we pulled the right repository, and let's look at that folder. It's probably gone. Yeah. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go into our drone YAML, and we're going to do ls/lah. Now we'll run that again. Okay, so in this folder, we have, I thought it checked it out and cloned it. Switch branch to main, and then there's nothing in the folder. Well, that's so if we look at what this is doing, it's doing a get init, and it's going to pull, or it's going to add this remote, It's going to fetch the remote. And we're going to pull main, check out main. So we've checked out main, and there's no files there. What? Redirecting. So do we just need to put a slash on the end of that? Example slash. Do I not have this? This is main. MERN-Stack-Example. Harness apps. There's. I'm not silly. I'm not crazy. There's files there. Okay, so let's do this. We just put the slash on the end. Run that. And this is initial. It's creating a new repository. Get init. And then it's going to add the repo. Why are we redirecting? Oh, because I said HTTP. We'll figure this out. HTTP S. Okay. Branch main fetch head. New branch main. Check out B main. Well, that's weird. Why would it not pull that? Is it a permissions issue? That's a public repository. Public. I mean, okay, so let's just try and duplicate it. So we're going to go to temp. And we're going to do dir foo, just as a directory, foo, get init. Okay, so we've created a get, we're going to get remote add origin. Get checkout b main, right? We're going to fetch origin, and then we're going to check out main. So we'll do get fetch, get checkout dash b main. That is so weird. What is the... Oh, that is so weird. So if we run get checkout main, it works. If we run get checkout dash b main, what does the dash b main do? Get checkout dash b. Does it create the branch? I bet you the b creates the branch. Alright, so what can we do about that? One thing we could do is we could tell this to not do a clone. So if we come over here, we could do clone disabled true. Let's try that. Now if we do this, go back to where we were. And if we do our drone like this. Okay, so it didn't do the checkout this time, but it obviously didn't find anything. In our command line here, we can provide it with a directory. So this is our build directory. We can do this. No. So we need to already have something checked out there. If we have the checkout is disabled true. I wonder, down here we are specifying repo branch main, and I wonder if we can get away without doing that. Let it default to main. Let's try that. Oh, crap. So close, because it created the new branch main. This checkout -b main. So let's look at our, we have some drone runner exec help. Exec. And we've got, one of these was repo branch. So we could do repo branch, because we were doing commit branch. Right? We were doing commit branch? I'm not crazy. No, we were doing repo branch. Repo branch. This is the URL. Visibility trusted, protected. Minutes updated. Because we want it to not run the -b. Commit sender. Commit. We could do a commit ref. If we did a commit ref, it would tie it to a specific reference in the Git repository, so we'd have to go get one of those commit refs, and that would run it locally. That's what I'm doing in the other example, but I don't know that we need that for right now. We could do, why would it be doing that -b? Let's look at our documentation, because we got the clone bit that we could do and turn off. Maybe we can find something other. Overview of the exec here, and configure the pipeline to use custom clone logic. Depth, tags, recursive, custom logic. So we can disable it, and we can do submodules, and we can do tags, but we can do depth, but we don't have the ability to trigger that. So if we look at our, the thing is, it's trying to go to the repo branch that I specified. So if I go back here and do this to main2, you'll see that it created, wait, what? Repo branch equals main2. Let's do important. Wild. Okay, well, I have no idea where it's getting this main then, because it's doing this checkout b main, and that is obviously the one that exists. Let's do this. Just try and force it. This seems hacky to me, but we'll see what it's doing. If this works, I'll explain what my hack does. Aha, there we go. Okay, so what I've done, if we look through the get clone section here, what I've told it to do is to clone the repository, and it's going to switch to branch main, but it's going to do this -b main thing, and I don't know why it's doing the -b. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell in my commands to get checkout main, which will kick it back over to the main from the remote repository rather than um, the locally created -b main that it was just created. And here are my files. So there we go. We've got cd into server, which is good. Yarn install, and now we're getting a completely different error that Volta node is not installed. Now, I'm using a tool called Volta to manage my JavaScript dependencies. It's not JavaScript dependencies per project, it's JavaScript tooling dependencies. So I use Volta to install Node, I use Volta to install NPM, Yarn, these types of things where I might want to have multiple versions. So I've got 2 versions of Node installed, and I can switch back and forth between them using Volta. But in this particular case, that's causing an issue. Node is not available. So we can make this out as detailed as we like. I'm going to get rid of this ls one, and I can do, Volta install node, and that should kick that over. If we try this again, here we go. We're going to install node. Yarn is not available. Volta install yarn. Okay. Yarn. And one of the really cool things about CI is you can iterate super quickly. One of the annoying things about CI is you may have to iterate super quickly a lot. Okay, so here we have it running our tests. Woot, woot, woot. Okay, and there's my logs done in 6.8 seconds. There we go. And you can see that my terminal, I've got a green cursor, which means it didn't error out. It succeeded. So if I were to type, is it false? Yeah, false will give you the red arrow right there. So we know our unit tests are running and working. We see the output there. Now we can do so much more with this. We can go in here and say, now let's do something interesting, like run docker build. And then we have to provide it the directory, which is local, because I'm going to run it here in the server directory. And let's try that. Is that what it is? Let's see. Clear docker build. Actually, here, let me go into the server folder. Docker build. Well, yep, it's going to build that Docker file into an image. Now, so if we have that Docker build there, we can build that image. So let's just do the whole here. Let's save this so it'll actually run, and then we'll hit that again. There we go. Run it from the right directory. Install yarn. Run the tests. Fetching packages. It's all very descriptive and also tedious. There we go. There we go. Run some logs. Now we're building we're pulling in the parts of our Docker build, and we're building our image. This is super exciting. I was honestly thinking that we would have more time to play around with like fun stuff like optimizing the Docker build and that sort of thing, but I hit that snag with understanding what that error message meant. So I'm going to take that error message back to the team and try and get that improved. But until then, look what we've done today. We've created a Docker it's a drone file here and used drone's command line locally in order to execute this pipeline whenever we want. And as it's in this sort of configuration, we've basically created a shell script, right? And so you may be going, why would I want to do that? It's a shell script. Well, when you do drone like this locally on your machine, you have a wealth of options available to you. And if you set up a drone server on your local machine, then you can do those Docker builds, etc. And you can run your CI infrastructure locally as well as in the cloud. So as an individual developer on a team, you can sit there and go, well, I want to run my unit tests and make sure they pass. but I can run them in the exact same way that the official CI infrastructure runs them, on the same images everywhere, knowing that, if something is broken on my stuff, it's not because I ran the test wrong or I didn't have the right data or something like that, but because something actually broke in the code. So you get a lot of assurances for doing things this way, and it also means that you can share this, because you can commit that drone YAML file and then you can share how to run it there, and you're off to the races. Your entire team is. We'll be experimenting a little bit more with this in the weeks to come as we work on a little pet project I have called Serverless Drone. So tune in next time, same bat time, same bat channel. We're going to be here at Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's 10 a.m. Pacific, and if I've done my math right, like 12:30 at night for our friends in India. I still don't like half a time zone. Somebody's got to explain that to me. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I'm sorry I couldn't banter with you today over chat, and I look forward to speaking with you again next time. Thanks for tuning in.